Well, by God, it's been more than 10 years since I've last played the game that seemingly had a little bit of something for everybody and another. Can't believe this game's damn near over 10 years old, but I haven't played it in 10 years. But yeah, this game had a little bit of everything for everybody. Had great on land combat, great sea combat, even had a lot of social aspects and challenges you could do with your friends and whatnot. And if you did certain challenges, you would unlock cheats. That's right, a game had cheats. And you could just turn on right from the menu. No need to enter codes or nothing like that. What kind of a game does that nowadays? And of course, they're all pirate themed. Yeah, this game had little bits of everything for everybody. But look at the name one of these Dead Men Tell No Tales. Yeah. Ain't that grand? Oh. Just the nostalgia of playing this game, wishing for a new grand pirate game. But alas, this it had a cool little crafting system where you had to go after a bunch of animals, get certain pelts to unlock certain outfits or accessories. Very common nowadays, but you even had little naval contracts you go and do, be a mercenary of the seas. Some dude, whatever, plowing somebody's wife, he wants you to board a ship, kill him, whatever the case may be. You don't turn down the moolah. That's for damn sure. You could even go around, you could do some fishing of the sorts, spear fishing. Go and look for Moby Dick, see if you can find him. Harpoon his ass. You even had little bell diving, you go dive in the water, get upgrades for your ship, and explore a little bit. They just don't make them like they used to. It just really had all this stuff that you wouldn't think from an Assassin's Creed game. It had all the grand land combat of all the games prior to itself, but then it just expanded upon this open world, which gave you so much stuff to do. All these treasure chests to go after, hunt down. It's just it's just like they're doing now, and they make them so big, but they all feel so empty. There's nothing to do. It's just like the nostalgia of playing this game. I always felt like there was always something going on. I was never just sitting around with me tomb, with me boot. But just look at the animation of pulling that big old bad boy up. And it's different for the whale and the sharks and stuff. It's just they didn't have to do all this. There's just something about looking at your ship from the wheel, but now it's getting to the ship combat. You actually had a bounty system, like GTA or Red Dead. If you killed so many ships, they would send hunters after you who with the sole purpose of sinking your ass, sending you down to Davy Jones. Granted, the combat isn't too complex, but it's still, once you get the hang of it, it's very fun to do. You can literally attack from all four sides of your ship. The front with swivels, or you throw chain balls. You got the cannons, you got close quarter cannons, you got a swivel gun that shoots. Oh, look, it's so atmospheric. Look at that whale diving out of the water while I'm in the middle of a ship fight. And you got these flame barrels that shoot out the back. You can shoot them, blow them up with your swivel gun. It's it takes a little bit to get the hang of it, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. You can do rams and stuff, and then there's even legendary ships. We'll show a little bit of them later, as Papacito shows his expertise navigational skills of the seas. But look at that sight of seeing a man of war on the top of the sea. Just, oh God, Jesus. Oh, the feels, man. To the cannon. Look at this, by God. I'll just tell you, they just driving around, sailing around the seas. I can't speak. I'm so excited. It just doesn't get tiring, even if you just rinsing ships over and by God, I didn't even get into you could board ships once you're done beating them, you board them, and then that goes into a whole nother aspect of this game. The game's 3 games in 1. You got land combat, sea combat, and then there's a whole fleet management system, which relies very heavily on the ship combat and all the ships you can destroy. If you destroy them, you can repair your ship. You can salvage the ship for materials, or you can send it to your fleet. And we're going to start talking about that in a little bit after you get to see this big old man of war get clapped by the Papacito. It's it wasn't overly complicated, the ship sea combat in this game, the naval combat, but it's so satisfying to do. It's just seeing the trailers Skull and Bones and the gameplay they showed. It's just why couldn't they just taken this and ramp it up a little bit? Because obviously this it has its flaws. It's not perfect. It's a damn near. It's over 10 years old. Damn near cool. But it's just seeing all these ships come after you and just the feeling it gives you. Landing a grand volley. You even have mortar strikes. I forgot about that. It just I just tell you, it's just so fun just sailing around. Because you can, I'm taking damage here. Once you board a ship, you can repair your ship. You don't have to go back to the harbor. Then you got all these ship upgrades and cosmetics you can get into. It's like, oh man. Not bad at all. The game's just very atmospheric. As we rammed Man of War here. Just the scale of these ships, a lot of games struggle to make, like Sea of Thieves. Even a galleon doesn't look as big as an actual, like, galleon, in real life. A big, massive Man of War. So here we go. We're gonna board the ship. So it's like, even right down here, you can just get on the ship, use the guns, and then get off it and go after them and start going to land, fighting on a ship. It's just the first time I remember doing this, I was like, my God, it's blown away. Like, this is actually possible. It's not a loading screen or nothing. You just pull up right inside of the ship. It pulls you on in. And you get to just jump on over and have fun. And, you get the little Jack Sparrow bit here. Yo! Just, by God. And of course, the combat in this game is very reminiscent of the old school Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed 3, that kind of combat before they changed it into the new skill system. So it's still very enjoyable to use. It's punishing but rewarding at the same time, much like naval combat. But when you get up against the legendary ships, if you don't know the right tactic to use against them, oh man, they're gonna clap you every time. Yeah, it's like each ship you board has different objectives you're supposed to complete. Like this big boy galleon and some of the frigates, you gotta go all the way up. The frigates, you gotta go all the way up to the top and you gotta rip down the flag after you kill a certain member of the crew and you gotta kill their captains. Oh look, big boy. The game even had different types of enemies to fight. You had big heavy boys and shooters. You had little agile swordsmen. So, like I said, they didn't go over the top complex, but they still made it so it was enjoyable. You could pick up enemies' weapons like in Assassin's Creed 2. Use them against them. Just to feel when you it really feels like you boarded this ship and you're sieging it and this is mine now. Who's gonna stop me? You see, kill all the men, you go up top. Well, I gotta say, one thing that does always anger me is the sprint button is the climb button. I always remember back in the day, it constantly used to leap me off edges I didn't want to jump off of, and I'd be on the floor as a pancake. But still, just so satisfying the first time, climbing up, getting their flag. Sure, it gets redundant afterwards and a little repetitive, but the first time you do it, it's like, oh, this is a grand feeling. I'm truly a pirate. I'm tearing this bad boy down. You got no flag, you no banner, you can't represent. See, let's boom, cut it down. Union Jack, goodbye. No move. Let it fall into the ocean. And see, now that it's boarded, you get the option of what you want to do with said ship. Like I alluded to earlier, it's like you got the whole crew down on their knees, ready to pray in the Lord's name. You can repair your ship. Oh, I forgot, you can lower your wanted level. That's what it was. Or you can send it to your fleet, and then you can salvage it there for materials if you wanted. And look, another thing I didn't even mention. The forts. There's a bunch of forts scattered around on the map. And you gotta go and siege them. And you gotta take out all the surrounding defenses. And then once you do all that, you gotta go and basically you gotta get on the land of the fort, and you gotta go and take over the commander and kill some captains. And it's actually, it's a little different than when you're doing just ship combat. A little bit of different tactics you gotta employ. You can't always just do the same thing over and over. And of course, if you're hunted, they're gonna send ships after you like they did here to me. Make it a little more difficult for yourself. So it's like I said, there's just always something happening. You're never just kind of sitting around waiting. You're always going around, dude. There's always somebody wanting you dead. Unless you were playing very passively, I guess, and very kind to people. If you don't sink other ships, pardon me. Yeah, you destroy all the defenses, and then you get the board. So it's just another thing, like immersive factor to make you feel grand. Like, oh, I'm truly a pirate. I'm clapping all these cheeks here. So you pull on up. It's kind of the same thing as like your board. You just dock the ship. And then you're going to go and do some hand-to-hand swords combat. Some land-dwelling combat. Like I said, a lot of it was very simple, but it's like they didn't have to do too much to make it over complicated or convoluted or anything. It was just enough to like you knew what you were doing, and you were never like, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? There's so many different weapon types too. I forgot all about that. You have different types of swords. Some are heavier than others, do more damage. Some are more agile, easier to maneuver with, do combos. You have different freaking pistols and firearms. You have like blunderbusses. You got gadgets, rope darts, like berserk darts. A whole bunch of different things you could do for combat-wise to spice things up, so you weren't just always just using swords and your hidden blades. Of course, you could always customize how Mr. Edward looked. You could choose his outfit. Pretty sure this is the Captain Morgan outfit. And I don't even get into it in this video, but the game also had a multiplayer too, so you could PvP against people, or you could do co-op. Like it literally had something, a little bit for something for everybody. I don't want to say the game's underrated, because a lot of people love it. You know, it's a great pirate game. And then it's also Assassin's Creed top. Like I said, it's 3 different games mixed together. The Assassin's Creed aspect, the pirate aspect, and then the fleet management, like sim builder aspect of it. So you can go upgrade your ship. You can buy ammunition for it. You got to keep track of your fire barrels, your heavy shot, your motor shot. You can always get that from the ships you sink and plunder, but you can always buy it if you don't want. You sell cargo. Again, you get from plundering ships. You got things like rum, spice, metal, wood. You get all these pelts you get from hunting animals. Cause there's land animals you can hunt, and then sea animals, like I showed already. Just something for everybody. You got sugar, rum, cloth, metal. Collect all this from sinking ships, or you find it in the seas, wood, and you could sell it, you use it, upgrade your ship. Like I said, it's just wasn't overcomplicated, but it's so grand. All these ship upgrades. You got the hull armor, broadside cannons, chase cannons. How strong your rams is. You could. It was. So, I'm pretty sure it's this one, or it might have been Odyssey, where you could ram a ship and it's split in half. I think it's Odyssey. But at least in this game, I felt like the ship combat was actually had something to it, whereas in Odyssey I felt like I only ever used ships to get from point A to point B, whereas in this game I was willingly getting to go and like have combat with it, whereas Odyssey I only ever got my ship to get to land and get to the next spot. And of course you can change the cosmetics of your ship, choose your figureheads, or certain ones locked behind community challenges you got to do with other people. You do the sails, you can do your whale. You can't do the cannons or anything else like that like you can in Sea of Thieves, but it's still pretty cool, the different options you had. Not too shabby. Granted, nowadays you get a lot more, but of course you have your own outfits, like I was speaking of before, different sword sets. And some of these you get from, you have to craft to do certain challenges. And a couple of them are, you know, throwbacks to other games. Altair and Ezio, I'm pretty sure, is in here. Could be wrong. Not bad. You didn't have full customization, but you know. And then you get to the fleet management. A whole nother aspect of the game a lot of people forgot about. So basically what it was, like I mentioned, any ship you capture, you can send to your fleet and use for your own self to go on trade routes and go on battles where, you know, you don't really control anything. It's just a randomized, like, it has a chance to win. And you can see right there, like, the routes are treacherous. So you have to go and send ships on ship battles to make the routes even safer, so your ships are less likely to sink. But then you also have to maintain their health. You can see some of them have to be repaired. And you have to maintain your supplies, your jewels, and your ship health. So it's like, obviously here it's a little gunboat, you should win. But the gunboat gets to attack faster because it's smaller. So it's like, it has little things like that. And you can shoot like fire barrels and give you better odds. But I remember back in the day, I always felt like it was kind of random. But now that I've played it, I can see the strategy behind it. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. So you just do a few of those ship battles, and it turns the route green, and then that's real time. So that's 24 hours real time, 72 hours real time. So I remember I'd always play this, do a few of those, send them out, as many as I could, and then I'd go to school, stop playing, play other games. I come back, I get like 15,000 coins just to let the time pass. And then I started going around and just hoarding all the Man of War ships. I was like, oh, let me get as many Man of War as I can. So anytime I saw a Man of War, I wanted to sink it, I would just send it to the fleet. I was like, I'm going to use you later. You're going to be a money pig for me. So look, see, I send out all three of them. Look, they attack a little slower, but when they do attack, they do some damage. Well, I forgot too. Each level, so 1, 2, 3 at the top, the middle, and the bottom, they all have a different like stat boost they do. One makes them like faster attack. One has better firepower, and I forget what the last. I forget. Like I said, not many people even knew this mode was in the game. It's just a little fleet management like simulator thing. I want to use it as like a focal point of the game. Like I don't think anybody was buying the game for this, but it was still cool to have as like a reason as to why you wouldn't just sink every ship you saw. It's like, okay, now that ship works for me, like how they would have done in the real day with certain ships. They would, you know, if it was better ship than theirs, they would use it, but they would just add it to their fleet. So it's not bad, you know. Being it was one of those you weren't gonna do it every time, but unless you were doing quick little routes. But there were some routes that took 3 days, 4 days. But I always remember thought it was very cool to do that. But look, here we go, legendary ship, as I spoke of earlier. These guys were absolutely no freaking joke. If your ship's not fully upgraded, you almost have zero chance to beat these guys. I believe there's 4 of them in the game. Well, 4 encounters. I think there's 5 ships because one of them has these 2 ships together, and they all have their own strategies they follow. And like, if you didn't know the strategies back in the day, it was so tough to beat these freaking ships because they have like one weakness. You gotta like spot it out real fast, and they do so much damage. Like if you went up against the double guys, they would line up on the left and right side of you, and then they would just light into you with both cannons. Just chew your ship up. So you'll constantly have to like try to avoid that, and if you defeated one, the other one would like light on fire and ram the hell out of you. That's all it cared about, like scorched earth tactics, just kamikaze. So it's like, it wasn't just a pushover fight. It was, you actually really had to think about where you were, where you positioned, and how you were gonna attack. Like this one's pretty cool with all the fog, and I don't remember what you get for completing all 4, if you get anything at all, but it was still pretty cool to even have these big, massive ships in here that, you know, when you start feeling like a god, you challenge them like, oh god, they're nothing to mess with. These ships are something else. That's what I remember when I was in the region of the legendary ship and I wasn't fully upgraded. I was always getting a little scared. You'd start hearing your crew talking, and you'd be like, oh god, I gotta get the hell out of here. Look at this. Look how close I am to beating. It was such a tight fight here. And the ship's almost maxed out, I believe, right here. It's not fully maxed out. It needs 1 or 2 upgrades. Look, we actually get him. We actually sink the ship. But he shot off a mortar round, the son of a bitch. Look it. She's done for. Little do they know they're talking about me. God. That's a whole different ship. Look, he's coming for ramming me. Look at him. Absolute menace. He rammed me so hard, look, he made me drift. Like I said, these ships were nothing to mess with. They were serious. What a dive, Jesus. I've never seen a ship maneuver like that. But oh man, do I miss this game. What Skull and Bones could have been. What they could have made that game.
Here, to the cannons.